According to a 2026 McKinsey survey, 73% of CFOs across Asia-Pacific have adopted Copilot tools for their finance teams, but fewer than 12% are using the one feature that cuts forecasting time by 60%. That gap is costing your organization millions in delayed decisions. Today, we're exposing what it is, why leaders are sleeping on it, and exactly how to activate it this week. Here's the reality of modern finance leadership. You're drowning in data. Your team spends 2 weeks every quarter wrestling spreadsheets, running reconciliations, building scenarios that should take days. Meanwhile, your competitors are already 3 moves ahead, using AI to compress that timeline to nothing. The pressure isn't theoretical. When Deloitte surveyed 340 CFOs in 2026, they found that 64% said delayed financial reporting directly impacts board confidence and capital allocation speed. You're not just losing time. You're losing relevance. And here's what stings. The tools are already on your desk. Copilot is already licensed. Your team is using it for email summaries, for basic data pulls. But they're missing the one capability that actually matters. The one that turns finance from a cost center into a competitive weapon. In the next 8 minutes, we're walking through 3 insights that will reframe how you think about AI in your finance function. First, we'll identify the exact Copilot feature CFOs are overlooking, and why it's fundamentally different from everything else on the platform. Second, we'll show you a real case from a Singapore-based regional bank that deployed this single capability and cut their month-end close by 40%. Third, we'll give you the implementation roadmap. No consultant speak. No theoretical framework. We'll tell you exactly what conversations to have with your team this week, what guardrails to put in place, and how to measure whether this is working. By the end, you'll know precisely where your organization stands and what your first move looks like. Let's go. The feature is Copilot's generative analysis engine for variance explanations and scenario modeling. Not the chat function. Not the data summarization. The generative analysis tool. Here's why this matters. Traditional Copilot use in finance is reactive. You ask a question. Copilot pulls data. You review it. But generative analysis is proactive. You feed it your actual financial statements, budget assumptions, and market conditions, and it automatically generates variance explanations in natural language, stress test scenarios, and what-if modeling without you needing to specify every parameter. According to recent research from Gartner in 2026, organizations using generative financial analysis reduced their planning cycle time by an average of 58% and increased forecast accuracy by 23% compared to traditional manual methods. But here's the kicker. Most CFO teams still don't know this feature exists as a standalone capability separate from general data chat. Real example. DBS Bank Singapore integrated Copilot's generative analysis into their monthly forecast process in early 2026. Instead of having 6 analysts spend 3 days building variance bridge scenarios manually, the tool generated 40 different scenarios against interest rate shifts, deposit volatility, and lending growth assumptions in less than 2 hours. The analysts then validated and refined. The time recaptured. 6 weeks per quarter per person. Here's how you apply this. This week, ask your controller or FP and a head 1 question. Do you know what generative analysis is? And have you accessed it through the Copilot Enterprise portal? The answer is probably no. That's your starting point. Get your Microsoft account team to run a 45-minute enablement session for your core finance. Leadership. It's a feature flip in your licensing. You're already paying for it. Now let's talk about why CFOs are sleeping on this. The answer is organizational, not technical. Most finance teams adopted Copilot for narrow use cases. Email drafting, meeting summaries, data lookup. Your team trained on those basics, felt comfortable, and stopped exploring? The onboarding materials from most enterprise IT teams don't surface generative analysis as a distinct capability. It lives 2 layers deep in the documentation. But there's a deeper reason. CFOs are risk-averse by nature, and generative modeling feels risky. What if the AI hallucinated a scenario? What if the variance explanation is mathematically wrong? What if we make a board decision based on an algorithm? These are legitimate concerns, and they're also completely solvable with one practice: validation architecture. Here's what PwC found in their 2026 AI adoption study across Asia-Pacific firms organizations that implemented a 2-person validation rule, where a human senior analyst reviews and approves every AI-generated analysis before it leaves the finance function. Achieved a 92% confidence rating with their leadership teams, not 50%. 92%. The reason is simple. You're not asking the AI to make decisions. You're asking it to accelerate the prep work so your smartest people can focus on interpretation and judgment, not data wrangling. Real example. Infosys expanded their use of Copilot's generative analysis across their global finance shared services centers in 2026. They implemented a validation rule. Every variance explanation and scenario model generated by the tool had to be reviewed by a senior analyst against source data and approved before it went to regional CFOs. Result: 0 material errors. 70% faster turnaround on monthly narratives. The tool became trusted because they built trust into the process, not because the tool was perfect. Here's your action. Create a validation governance policy this month. Identify 2 or 3 senior analysts who will own the review process. Set a speed target. The goal is not perfection. The goal is actionable insight delivered in half the time. Build that into your finance charter. The third insight is where you'll see the real leverage. Generative analysis isn't just for month end. It's a real-time decision tool for your board and your CEO. Most CFOs still build board packs manually. Finance team pulls data. Controller builds the narrative. CFO reviews. Board sees it days later. Sometimes weeks. By then, the environment has shifted. IDC published research in 2026 showing that companies using real-time financial analytics platforms made capital allocation decisions 3.2 times faster than those relying on traditional monthly reporting cycles. That velocity matters in volatile markets. It's the difference between being first to market and being too late. Now imagine this. It's Tuesday morning. Your CEO calls an emergency call because interest rates shifted, or a major customer announced a restructure. Instead of telling him you'll have analysis by Friday, you ask your FP&A analyst to run generative analysis on what a 50 basis point rate shift means for your ROIC, your debt ratios, your capital plans. Not speculation. Actual scenario analysis based on your real balance sheet. Delivered in 45 minutes. Real example. Overseas Chinese Banking Corporation, OCBC, implemented a real-time analytics dashboard in 2026 that integrated Copilot's generative analysis. For spot analysis on market scenarios. When financial conditions shifted mid-quarter, their treasury team could model the impact on their net interest margin and liquidity within an hour instead of 3 days. That compressed analysis window meant they could act on hedging decisions faster than competitors, who were still waiting for month-end books to close. Here's how you deploy this. Start with one use case. Month-end variance analysis or a single what-if scenario that comes up regularly. Get clean. Get repeatable. Get validated. Then expand. Board scenario. Customer concentration risk. Debt covenant modeling. Each expansion is a conversation with your team about what question keeps them up at night that AI could answer faster. Let's talk about what this looks like in 6 months if you move on this. Your finance team still has the same headcount, but their days look completely different. The analysts who used to spend Tuesday and Wednesday building spreadsheets are now spending that time on conversation. With you. With business unit leaders. With the board. Asking the right questions about what the numbers mean. Not scrambling to produce them. Your month-end close moves from 12 days to 8 days. Your forecast cycle compresses from 3 weeks to 10 days. Your team submits not one scenario to the board, but 3 rigorously analyzed options with clear decision drivers for each. But here's what matters most: your seat at the table changes. You're no longer the person who produces financial reports. You're the person who interprets financial reality and tells the story about what your organization should do next. That's where CF. Thanks for listening. If you found this valuable, please subscribe to Apex Minds D4J for more powerful insights. See you in the next one.